Hey, what's up, guys? It's me again, and we're back with NFL Week 12 picks and predictions. Last week, I won a nice 10-4. This week, we've got 13 games, 6 teams on by, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's just get straight into it. We've got Thursday Night Football with the Pittsburgh Steelers going against the Cleveland Browns. Steelers are red hot, winning their second game of the season with kicking nothing but field goals. Shout out Chris Boswell for going 6 for 6 again. They scored 18 points with field goals against the Falcons week 1. They did it against the Ravens here. And you know what? I really don't have any reason to go against the the Steelers. This should be an easy win for them. The Browns just don't look really that good. They let Taysom Hill run all over them. This should be a Najee and Jalen score fest. George Pickens is going to get involved a lot. Russ is going to look nice. And yeah, this is going to suck for the Browns. There's really not much I could say except the Steelers are so much better than I thought they are. They were going to be. Heading into the season, I thought it was just going to be another, mediocre 9 to 10 win season, first round exit. But man, this season's looking a lot different, as much as I'd hate to admit it. And I'm very excited to see where they go with the remaining schedule that they have, because they have the toughest schedule remaining to me and compared to the rest of the league. So next game, Cowboys at the Commanders. Needless to say, Commanders should win this easily. I'd say about 34-17. That's that much simpler. Cowboys just don't look good. Cowboys season is practically over. They denied Aubrey's 64-yard kick, got a first down because of roughing the kicker, and then did not score. So that basically sums up the Cowboy season in a nutshell. Aubrey doing the work, and then just fucking it up. Commanders, this is a bounce back game. You need it after that Eagles collapse you had in that fourth quarter. You should be able to run well against these boys. I think Brian Robinson's going to have a solid game. Terry McLaurin is not going to go quiet. He's going to be asking for the ball a lot. I think he's going to have a solid game as well. And it was nice to see Zach Ertz getting involved in the last drive last week. You look to keep that going. But yeah, this should be a one-sided affair. Commanders need this to stay in that divisional/wild card race. Next game, we've got the Titans at the Texans, and we'll get into the good games later because there's a lot of interesting matchups that I'm still a little bit indecisive about, but I'll take what I can get with this one because this should be an easy win for the Texans. The Titans competed and they got penalized heavily against the Vikings, like more than any other team in the league at that point. Seems like they couldn't take one step forward without getting 10-yard penalties back. And the Texans had a nice Joe Mixon affair with the Cowboys. They proved they were the better Texas team, at least for this year. Joe Mixon should have a okay game here. It's good to see Nico Collins back. I think Nico Collins was heavily missed with CJ Stroud. I like Tank Dell, but now that you have no Stephon Diggs, I think Nico is going to elevate this Texans offense back to what it was. Back when Nico was leading the league in receiving yards, or he was top 5 even with the time missed. And so, yeah, Titans, you just look forward to the draft. Well, you see if Will Levis, he did have a really nice 98-yard touchdown, which was good to see. So let's see if you can get some more plays out of Will Levis and mistake-free football. But Texans should win this. Next game, Chiefs at Panthers. And oh my God, we got another one-sided affair. Chiefs are going to demolish the Panthers. There's no way they lose. I know there was a lot of memes going on with Twitter saying the Panthers could upset the Chiefs and it would be like the most unexpected yet hilarious thing ever, but it's not going to happen. Heck, the Chiefs might get Pacheco back this week. It says he should come back in some sort of way. Probably not a full-time starter, like he's not going to take the whole role away from Kareem Hunt, because even if he's fully healthy, I think they're still going to utilize Kareem Hunt in some sort of way, maybe as a red zone threat, and he could still catch the ball. But getting Pacheco back is good for the Chiefs. And that's all I can really say. The Chiefs defense should thrive against the Panthers. I think they're going to look just fine. This should be, I'm not going to say they're going to win 40-7 or anything. The Chiefs aren't that kind of team. They'll win a respectable 30-13, I'd say. Panthers, you don't really got much going for you. Bryce Young has won a couple of games. It'd be awesome if he won this game. If he just came out and somehow beat the Chiefs that no one beside the Bills last week was able to do, man, the sports talks about the Chiefs are going to be very interesting if that's the case. But I just can't see it. Next game, we've got the Patriots at the Dolphins, and this is where the good games start kicking in, because the Patriots are competing with every game Drake May is playing, and I love to see it. I really thought he was gonna go down and score a game-winning touchdown against the Rams. I was like, oh my god, Drake May is having a phenomenal year so far. He's having, he might not be winning every single game, but he's giving his team chances. He's making plays, but then he had that overthrow interception at late, which sucked. I kind of secretly wanted the Patriots to win just for Drake May to thrive, but he could do it against the Dolphins here. The Dolphins defense has been playing better. They got Jonnu Smith and Tyreek Hill going off, leaving Jonnu Smith wide open. Tyreek Hill finally had his best performance since like the beginning of the season with Tua, at least. And yeah, that's why I'm going to go with the Dolphins here. The Dolphins are interesting because they kind of need to go on this win streak if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. And they have an interesting little schedule here. They could do it, but it's going to be very tough down the road. But I could totally see the Patriots upsetting the Dolphins because Drake May is a competitor. I love to see it. So next game, Lions at the Colts. Colts, Anthony Richardson started. He destroyed the other AR on the other team. Game-winning touchdown. Lions absolutely murdered the Jaguars for no reason. The Lions have no mercy rule. It's really sad to see. Like, if they can beat you 65-0, they will beat you 65-0, even though they already could have called it game at like 20-0. The Lions are assholes, dude. And I don't see them destroying the Colts here. I think the Colts have very interesting offensive scheme because I like Jonathan Taylor, although the Lions' run defense is very solid, and I think they're going to contain him a little bit. I think Anthony Richardson is going to have to make some plays with his legs, though. Something you haven't seen exactly a lot of this year. And I like their weapons. I think they can score on the Lions a lot better than the Jags and Titans did. But I still got the Lions here winning. I mean, regardless, they're just the team to beat in the NFC right now. They just look so good on all aspects, whether it's special teams and the kicker making long field goals or returns. Their running duo is huge dynamic. Their receivers are great. Jared Goff is playing efficient football. Aside from that Texans game, the defense is great despite losing Aiden Hutchinson. It's like, what can you say so bad about the Lions other than how the heck did they lose that Bucs game? They should be 10-0, honestly. Looking back at that Bucs game, it was very bizarre how they lost. But that's all I can really say. I mean, Lions should win this fairly easily, although it will be closer than for comfort for probably the Lions fans have been going through the last couple weeks. So yeah, Lions win. Bucks at the Giants is going to be an interesting game. We got Tommy DeVito coming for the starting role. They benched Daniel Jones and got Tommy DeVito, the king himself, coming in. The Bucks are coming off a bye week, and they should get Mike Evans back this week. And this is going to be where the Bucs season relies on because they cannot afford to lose. The Giants season is already lost. The Bucs season is still in the balance of Baker Mayfield and what he can do, and Rashad White and Kate Upton and Bucky Irving and that solid Bucs defense. And that's why I've got them winning here. If the Bucs lose this game, their season is pretty much done. Like the Bucs, for them to go on this huge win streak after already being swept by the Falcons, they need to win 6 of their next 7. That's all it really comes down to. If they want to make the playoffs, they have to at least win 6 of their next 7 and see how the other teams in the conference do. I just like Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to look just great against the Giants defense. I don't really see Tommy DeVito coming in and pulling off the upset. It would be funny if that really happened. Like the legend Tommy DeVito comes in and has a better performance than any Giants quarterback has all year so far. I could totally see that happening. But at the end of the day, I think the Bucs are just going to be hungrier for a win, and that's just what it's going to come down to. Vikings at the Bears, the NFC North battle. Now, here's the thing. In my midseason video, I said the Vikings were going to have a major collapse. They were going to win these last 2 games, and they did. They beat the Titans with referees as their teammates, penalizing the Titans every chance they could, and the Bears have just gotten unlucky when it came to the Commanders' Hail Mary, and then the Packers blocking a field goal with no time left on the clock, the same way the Chiefs blocked the Broncos field goal. Like, what are the odds? And it sucks because, like, I think the Bears defense, this is going to be a defensive thing like the whole game. Like I don't know who's gonna score 20 points first. I don't see any of them really eclipsing that. Like this is gonna be a defensive battle for the ages. Sam Darnold against the Bears' stout defense, and Caleb Williams against the Vikings' great defense. And it is in Chicago, and I'm really stumped with this. But I am going to end up going with the Chicago Bears to get it. I think they've gotten really unlucky so far. Yeah, they've had some bad offensive outings and coaching decisions and, offensive schemes that just haven't worked in their favor and don't look good. But I think this is where the Vikings collapse starts. I said that they were gonna start off with these 2 wins and they were gonna lose almost every game onward. They're probably gonna beat the Bears at least once. That could be here, or that could be the next time they play in Minnesota. But I said they were gonna lose out basically majority of the season. I'm gonna stick with that. I just see it. I just see it happening, and the Bears need this win. I think the Bears are really pissed. They're better than what their record says. Yeah, I know their rookie quarterback hasn't looked great at times. DJ Moore hasn't gotten as much involvement as you would like him to for such a good receiver. But that's basically it. I just have a hunch. I mean, I know the Vikings are probably the better team. They're the better overall team. They're the better offensive team. But in NFC North fashion, I think the Bears are going to win this one. Broncos at the Raiders. The Broncos absolutely kicked the Falcons' ass. Oh my God, I did not expect that. I mean, I knew the Broncos were going to win. I knew they were going to give the Falcons offense some trouble, but I didn't expect them to win 38 to freaking 6. I mean, shutout in the second half. That's crazy. Not to mention, I mean, Bo Nix threw 4 touchdowns, and he didn't even need to throw 4. He was good with 3, and he said, nah, I'll take 4th, Bo for 4. And the Raiders, I mean, what do you want me to say? They're the freaking Raiders. They're having a terrible season. They're tanking for this draft. Give me the Broncos to go head into Las Vegas and go from 6-5 to 7-5. Broncos look freaking great. They should be 8-4, but blocked field goals, man. I feel for those Broncos fans. They should have beaten the Chiefs. Everybody was watching that game. Everybody was in awe, shock and awe, how undeserving of a win the Chiefs got. But Broncos should take this. There's really not much to say other than hopefully Bo Nix continues exceeding expectations. He continues getting better and better and better, which, I mean, I don't know how much you can get better from a 4-touchdown performance with no interceptions. But as far as consistency, I'd like to see that. I love that they're getting Sutton involved. I like that they got back to Javonte Williams and he had a bounce back game. He heard talks of getting benched for that rookie S team, and he said, nah, I've still got the remainder of this contract. I need something to look forward to. And he is probably going to pounce all over this Raiders D-line and still probably get the rookie involved in some way or fashion. So yeah, Broncos should win this easily. Cardinals at the Seahawks. Now this game I was not prepared for, because in my midseason picks I was like, nah, Seahawks are frauds. They really got nothing to look forward to. And then they go out and they beat the Niners. The very first game I said they were going to lose, they won. And with a Geno Smith 13-yard rushing touchdown for the game winner. And I don't know what it is with the Niners this year. It's like, holy shit, like they have fallen off bad. I mean, I haven't gotten to watch all the Niners games, but every time I do, it's just like they don't look anything like their former selves. It's like they don't have the huge plays that they used to have. Like, you don't get those giant highlights all the time. You get, like, Juwan Jennings is outperforming Deebo Samuel despite being the wide receiver 2 of that team. Heck, he was doing that when he was the wide receiver 3 of that team. George Kittle was hurt last week, so I know that sucked, and he is top 5 in touchdowns right now, and he's still a stellar tight end. But even then, you've got enough playmakers to do something. The defense is fine, well, giving up that kind of rushing touchdown with less than 20 seconds left got a sting. And the Cardinals are coming off a bye week, and they're leading the division. This is their chance to have a possible 2.5 game lead over all the other division mates. Or as the Seahawks could take the division lead right here. This is their chance to turn the season around, prove all the haters wrong. Like, hey, we were 3-0, we fell off, but now we're back up. This game is literally, as I'm looking at it, it's 50-50%, like on ESPN pickups. Like, it is that split. But I'm just going to go with the better overall team right now, the team that's coming off the bye week. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. This I think it's just I like their overall. I like what their defense is doing. I think their defense is very underrated as a unit. They're performing better than I expected. I like James Conner a lot. I like Marvin Harrison. I like Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is having a very unappreciated season because nobody's really talking about him like in his statistics right now. I mean, Gino does have 11 interceptions and 11 touchdowns right now. Kenneth Walker, I really like Kenneth Walker, and I love JSN. I love that JSN pick for the Seahawks. I loved him as a rookie, and I like that he's having a better second year. But this is tough. It's in Seattle. Like I could totally see Seattle winning this. This is really the toss up of the week for me, honestly. But I'm gonna go with Arizona in this. No offense, Seattle, but I could be totally wrong. This is gonna come down to this is going to be like a 1 point game. This is like 24-23 written all over it. So yeah, Arizona wins to me. Just barely, though. Next up, we've got the Niners at the Packers. Packers getting lucky with a blocked game-winning field goal, and the Niners getting unlucky with the game-losing rushing touchdown from Geno Smith. And man, what do I even say about this game? This is the Packers' revenge game from the divisional round. Packers all seem to always get the Niners in the regular season and then never in the playoffs. That kind of seems to be the theme. Just like the Bills and Chiefs. The Bills always have the Chiefs number in the regular season, but not in the postseason. It's kind of like that. It's very weird. And the Niners just haven't looked like themselves. The Niners need this win more than ever right now. Like this is like detrimental to their season, and yet I think it's such a shame. I think if it was in San Francisco, I'd be leaning the other way right now, but I'm gonna go with the Packers. I said they were gonna win out most of their games, and I think that's gonna continue here. I think they just have look better. I mean, I want to see Jordan Love have a game without an interception. I think he's thrown an interception every single start of this season so far. I'd like to see that stop here because you need to not have some turnovers against this stellar Niners defense. I mean, if you give the Niners opportunities, they'll take it. But even with Kittle coming back, even with Christian McCaffrey coming back, it's like the Niners just are underperforming in every aspect. And this is a tough game to pick because the Niners could win this, easily win this. I mean, they are still the Niners. They are still very talented on paper. And it could come down to maybe what if Jordan Love just turns the ball over one too many times? What if he throws like 3 interceptions this game and you start looking at the Packers? Man, are the Packers, can you really say the Packers are competitors, Super Bowl contenders if Jordan Love is turning the ball over 3 times a game, 2 times a game? I don't know. We're going to have to see by the end of this game. But I've got the Packers here. I just love that they got the home field advantage. I like the matchup better. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a solid game. I think Tucker Kraft is going to have a solid game. He didn't get involved much last week. I think he's going to get involved a lot this week. I like to see Christian Watson thrive. Even with the Niners, I think it's going to be a shootout. I got this being 27-24 Packers. And now we go into Sunday Night Football with the Eagles at the Rams. And man, this is going to be a very fun one. I think it seems to be like the Rams just want to win, lose, like going into the schedule. And the Eagles, they looked really good. I mean, Jake Elliott missed 2 field goals wide right and a PAT, but Saquon Barkley is still thriving. Saquon Barkley is having a great season. AJ Brown is still great. Devontae Adams, what the hell? Devontae Smith is still great. Jalen Hurts, push touchdowns every single week. You like to see that unless you're a Saquon Barkley fantasy manager. But even then, even if you have Saquon in fantasy, you should be happy. You should have a great record by this point. And this is a really tough game to pick because I want to go with the Eagles so bad. Like, they're favored. They have the better overall team. Their offenses look more consistent. I mean, coaching is debatable. I mean, I've always said despite the coaching, they're still winning games. They're still outperforming the team. So I think they can have that margin of error of coaching schematics when it comes down to that because they are still 8-2 after all. And they just take down the red hot Commanders. And now they're going to go into LA, who are coming off a nice win over the Patriots. And I love the Puka and Cooper Kupp dynamic. I like Kyren Williams, and I like Stafford. Stafford's got the veteran experience to compete with any of these teams. And you know what? I'm actually going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with the LA Rams. I don't know what it is that's telling me, like, you know what? The Rams are going to just have lots of good W's coming up in the rest of their schedule. And it starts with this Eagles one. I mean, it started last week with the Patriots, but this is the mark. Like, this is where you really turn around your season. Because, I mean, if you lose, like, let's put it this way. You lose here. Let's say the Niners lose to the Packers. That means And if the Cardinals beat the Seahawks like I think they are, that's the Cardinals' division to take. Like they have a 2.5 game lead over everyone, and they've beaten everyone already. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. Because I think the Eagles can afford a few more losses before really losing that division lead over the Commanders. Now that they actually beat the Commanders, and the Eagles could outperform the Rams. I could be totally wrong, and I could see the Eagles just flying all over this Rams. I mean, the Rams defense has been playing better, but I could totally see the Eagles just killing them, like 35-14 or something like that, like how the Saints killed the Browns. I could totally see that happening. But is it going to happen? I'm not too sure. I think this is going to be a very intense game. I think it's going to be a little close for comfort on either side of the ball. But I just see Stafford leading some very efficient ball. I see him not making any mistakes. I see him finding his playmakers when he needs to and them just flying over. And the Eagles have a really good rookie, for one. He's having a stellar year. But I don't know. I don't know. In LA, prime time, lights are on. Something's crazy going to happen. And I'm just going to go with LA. It's just a gut feeling. I totally understand if you think the Eagles are going to whoop the LA Rams ass, or if you at least got them winning. They are 84% favored right now. But it's just hard to say. I've just got a hunch, man. I got to go with it. I'm going with the Rams. And now we go into the Hardball Bowl, Monday Night Football. And this is going to be a very entertaining game if I've ever seen one. And this is going to be very tough to predict because as the Chargers, I'd be more confident in the Chargers if they had demolished the Bengals because they were up 27-6 at some point. You thought, like, man, this defense is for real. They're holding the red hot Bengals to 6 points, midway through the third quarter. Like, this Chargers team must be legit. Like, if they had won, say, like, let's say they were allowing the comeback to happen, but they finished strong. Like, let's say they had finished 34-20, I'd be a lot more confident in the Chargers. And maybe that was just the Bengals having. The commentators were having a debate all night saying like, hey, they must have had a halftime talk saying, hey, this is our season right here. Then they just came out firing because the Bengals defense stepped up. It's one thing that their offense was scoring. That's kind of a given. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are great. Chase Brown was making lots of nice plays. He was evading tackles. He was making the Chargers tackle defense look very sloppy. So Zach Taylor must have done something right if the defense was stepping it up, because they were forcing 3 and out, punt, Herbert fumbled the ball. But then Evan McPherson, he barely missed, but he missed 2 game lead changing field goals, and that's got to sting, because at some point the Bengals should have realistically won 33-27. Unless the Chargers score a game-winning touchdown with no time left, which could have happened, but it didn't. And that was the meme game of all ages. No, you should win. No, you should win. No, you should win. And the Chargers finally said, okay, we'll win. Meanwhile, the Ravens lost to the team who scored no touchdowns. Their defense stepped up, but at the same time, they allowed 6 consecutive field goals and couldn't score anything on offense. It seems like for some reason the Steelers have Lamar's number. They're the one team. Like, if the Steelers played the Ravens 17 games in a season, they'd probably go 16-1 or 15-2. It's crazy how well the Steelers plan out for Lamar-led Ravens, no matter how good the Ravens look. Even if the Ravens were undefeated to the point of last week, they would have lost. And so this is going to be a very interesting game. If the Chargers want to prove they're for real, they need to win this game. I said that last week, and they did beat the Bengals. They are legit in a way, but I said they need to win 3 of 5 between the Bengals, Bucks, Falcons, Chiefs, and Ravens. This is a detrimental point because the Chiefs coming off a loss. The Chargers look good. You look back, all their losses were 1-score games, and the Chargers could play. It's really going to come down to, can the Chargers stop Derrick Henry? I think their game plan wasn't to stop Chase Brown, which is why they had a bad time tackling him. Like, he was making really nice plays. He made some nice catches. He did get blasted a couple times too near the goal line. But it's going to come down to now their whole plan is stop Henry. If you can stop Henry, then you can win this game, because the Ravens offense comes down to running with Henry, Lamar finding his playmakers, getting Zay Flowers involved, getting Mark Andrews involved. And the Ravens defense hasn't looked great. They looked decent last week, but they still lost. They still allowed the Steelers to drive multiple times. If 2 of those field goals ended in touchdowns, or if Russ doesn't throw a terrible red zone interception, or end zone interception, I should say, then the Steelers win like 30-17 or something like that. So that can easily have been a lopsided affair. But even despite all that, I'm going to go with the Ravens to win this. Just barely, though. This could go into overtime. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as last week. I think there's going to be a little more defensive play involved. Because Herbert looked hot in the first half of the last game, and then he slowed down. I think the opposite is going to happen. I think he's going to get hot in the second half, and so is Lamar. It's going to be a shootout for the ages in the second half. Otherwise, the first half is going to be testing out each other's weaknesses. Can the Chargers prevent Henry? Okay, how can the Ravens get Henry involved a little more and get more, play? Can you get some play actions going? Can you get Zay Flowers involved a little more? And it's tough because the Bengals have a T. Higgins and a Jamar Chase. The Ravens' offensive players aren't as good as those two, but Lamar is playing at a stellar level. He can make plays like that. He can find Devin Duvernay all day if he wants. Maybe Deontay Johnson finally gets involved. I'm not too sure. All I know is I'm very excited to see, because if you're a Steelers fan, you got to be rooting for the Chargers hardcore. This is a Steelers fan night. If they, win their game, when they win their game, they're gonna look at this game like, oh my God, please Chargers. They will have a 2.5 division lead. You're gonna look at the Ravens going from Super Bowl contenders, possibly running through Baltimore, or at least maybe the second or third seed, to damn, if the Chargers win, the Ravens could fall to the 6th or 7th seed. Because they have the head-to-head over the Broncos, but they'll have the same record. So now you're looking at the Ravens season almost in jeopardy, because they still got to face the Steelers again and the Eagles, which will be very intense. But I think the Chargers can afford this loss much more than the Ravens can. But if the Chargers win this game, we gotta start having a talk about them. It just sucks because they're in the same division as the Broncos and Chiefs, and the Chiefs will always win the AFC West unless something major happens. So yeah, those have been my NFL Week 12 picks and predictions. If you want a quick rundown, I got the Steelers, Bears, Lions, Dolphins, Bucks, Commanders, Chiefs, Texans, Broncos, Packers, Cardinals, Rams, and Ravens. Those have been my NFL Week 12 picks, and I hope you all have a good Sunday, fun day. Peace.